Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. Once again, we appreciate you tuning in to this episode of Faith in Your Recovery. I think it's episode like 158, so we've been at this about 3 years now. Our guest was last on with us October 14th of 2022, so that's right at 2 years ago. Our guest is Kourtney Thompson. Welcome, Kourtney.
Nice to be here.
Good to have you. What is it that made you want to come back? Why do you want a second shot at this?
I felt like I've had more experience with addiction recovery and addiction, and I feel like I just have more advice to give and more people to help.
Awesome. That's what we're looking for. Okay, go ahead. Start with some of that. Tell us what the time's been like over the last couple of years. When you were on before, and folks, if you want to look it up, it was episode 51. Check it out. You can get all the details. Go ahead, give us a brief of where you were at that time, and then we'll look at where you're at now.
Well, I had talked about starting to go to Brianna's Hope, the support group meetings and everything, which you kind of started, and I talked about my alcoholism and why I started drinking and where I was at then, and at the time I was doing good and everything, and it's not that I'm not doing good now, but I had relapsed since then. But I do have a grip on that now.
Awesome. Yeah. When you were on here before, how long had you been sober?
I can't remember. I think almost a year, maybe.
Okay. So now, you've had a hiccup or two, it sounds like, but you're looking at 3 years of sobriety, basically. Yes?
Yeah. I have a drink every once in a while, but it's not like to get drunk. It's not to get messed up or to like drown everything out. It's just like if I'm relaxing and like reading a book or something like that, and it'll be more like a glass of wine instead of like shots after shots after shots or anything like that.
So was that the case before your drinking was pretty much just to black things out?
Yes.
I can remember, and I'd look back on the notes that we had from your previous interview, that I forget your exact words, but you were trying to hurry things up. At that time, you didn't care if you lived or died, was the impression I got.
Yes.
From those words. Is that accurate?
Yes, and I could have very well been down that path again because I went on a bender for I'd say somewhere between 3 and 5 months, but this time I added pills to the mix again.
Okay, do you know what the triggers were that sent you off the edge there that caused that relapse?
Well, I was in and out of work, and the person that was supposed to be my peer recovery coach was actually doing the pills with me.
Okay.
I probably would have never got back into it again if it wasn't for her.
Okay. Not a good combination for her or you.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that fall comes in a hurry, and it doesn't matter whether it's alcohol, whether it's pills, the needle, anything else. We know what that can look like. What are triggers for you now, Kourtney? What do you really have to watch for?
Really, my people, places, and things. Like, I changed a lot of the people that I keep around me. I still am in contact with most of my bonus family from Brianna's Hope and everything, and Michael Bear, of course. But there's been a few things that I would say would be triggers, but if I didn't have a good support system. Like, Michael read something at one of the last Brianna's Hope meetings, and I wasn't there for it, but I gave him my permission because one of my dealers hit me up, I want to say like a week and a half ago, right after I had gotten out of another tricky relationship. And if there was any time I would have said yes to it, it would have been then, but I didn't. So
you had places you could go to be built up, to be encouraged, to let you know, that going down that path just going to take you back where you were and probably in a worse way.
yes. And I seen what it did to the person that I had been doing pills with, because me and her aren't friends no more. Not just because of that, but because essentially our friendship ended with me saving her life and her getting mad at me for it because I told somebody that cared about her what had happened. And she was upset with me for that because she didn't want anybody to know that she was using again or that she was back into things like that, I guess.
You didn't, I'm going to guess, no better than I know you even, that wasn't done in order to divulge her secret that she is using or anything. You cared about her, it sounds
Yes,
like.
absolutely. Because we've known each other for probably 3 years or more now, and we don't talk. But I have a friend that checks in on her every once in a while because he patched her up after she hurt herself. And so he lets me know like that she's, still alive at least.
So, Kourtney, what is it that has turned your life around that's caused you to care enough to try to stay above the alcohol, pills, or anything else?
It really never did me any good. I mean, everything seemed to go wrong more when I was using or when I was drinking heavy or around the wrong people in the wrong situations. And I don't know. I didn't want to be stuck in that cycle anymore. I've lived in a cycle of trauma and abuse and alcoholism and substances my whole life. And I don't want to die before I get to get married or have kids or
You
see
want to
my
experience
friends.
life. Yeah. What you said came across to me as vague and very deep, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
The idea that, you want away from it. And I like what you said. None of that was doing you any good. There was nothing positive from any of that. And that's like spinning your wheels, hoping to go somewhere, knowing it's not going to happen. And so you go through those changes. What are some of the disciplines that you rely on now that keeps you sober, that keeps you away from pills? Yeah, help us with that. I think maybe that can help others who are listening.
I've started to try to express myself more freely, whether it be through my writing or my art or
Explain to us about your writing and your art. What's that like? What kind of art? What kind of writing?
well, my art is a little bit of everything. It's my internal dialogue. It's my my innermost feelings and thoughts that I put
In
on
a picture.
yes, or into
What's a typical
poetry.
picture that you might draw, or one of the last that you drew? What would that look like?
Well, I actually did a tattoo recently. It's not one that I can freely show people cuz it's under my chest.
Okay.
But it is two chains and they're broken in the middle. They don't connect. And I did that for like breaking the chains of addiction, essentially.
Okay.
And like breaking the mold.
Yeah. Yeah. What's one of your stories? What would it read like?
What would it read like? Could I pull something up on my phone?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me do that really quick.
Yeah, no.
This is what Michael read at the Brianna's Hope meeting that I sent him.
Okay. Folks, let me explain to you. Michael Bear is the chapter leader of the Burn chapter of A Better Life, Brianna's Hope. They're a highly functioning chapter in so many ways. Not just numbers, but community activity and what they give, the lives they've touched, changed, and helped save. We're pleased to have him on board. Go ahead, Kourtney.
Okay. So like I said, this was like a week and a half ago, somewhere around there. But my dealer hit me up yesterday. I felt my heart stop. Asked when I'd come to rip a few rails, and I felt my stomach drop. Then the pace picked up, the roller coaster started to go up. What if I just need a little pick-me-up? Things have been rough. I'm sick of being tough. I'm only human, and one more bump ain't gonna do me in, right? Yo, it's just one more line, so what if it makes my nose bleed? But what would my friends think of me? I came a year and a half, and I ain't where I used to be. Living in the fast lane ain't so easy. God, I want it, and I know I should be proud of the time I've got. The love I've gained and the lessons I've already learned. 10 minutes go by. Nah, man, I don't do that stuff no more. It was all fun and games, till the high goes away. I'm beating myself up inside because why did I have to stop and think before I replied? I'm only human, but I don't want to have to hide. The using, the high, the withdrawals, the feelings, the drugs. I'm not proud of myself. He's still got my number. But I already told him that I don't need that stuff no more. I don't want to be that stereotype, that grimy coke whore, because it's always money for drugs, but the drugs take more.
It was fun and games until it wasn't fun and games, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and the pain sets in and all the struggle, the loss, your personal look at your future and what it's going to be like if you don't
Yes.
make a change. That's big stuff. That's a neat poem. I'd like a copy of that if you'd said that to our office sometime.
I can do that.
All right. That'd be a neat thing. So, yeah. So what is your biggest temptation at this time? What is it that causes you the most struggle? Yeah.
Well, I just got out of a kind of rough situation with an ex. And I guess I'm kind of trying to start over on the, like, relationship aspect and everything. Like, I'm single again, and that means I'm alone more with my thoughts. And I can't work right now because I have some medical issues. So it's kind of hard being stuck in the house sometimes, and I start to go, like, stir crazy, but...
What kind of work, if it wasn't for the health issues, what kind of work would you prefer to do?
If I could, I would like to apprentice for a tattoo shop. And I would like to help people, like, express themselves that way, like, whether it be through art or if they wanted, like, scars covered up, like I have, and not all scars are visible. So
Exactly. And I think the most painful are the ones we don't see.
yes.
It's easy to express that one that's seen, but to share the one that goes down deep to the heart, to the experience, to that trauma or whatever it may be, it's hard to express that to others. What is it that that people don't know about Kourtney that you want them to know?
That every time I get knocked down, I come back stronger. I'm usually kind of shy and, like, I don't really like public speaking a whole lot, but I really do try to put myself out there and like be there for people and help them, even if it makes me uncomfortable.
And that's okay if we're uncomfortable in a situation. It can be a challenge, kind of a sign of a challenge. Sometimes it can be a sign we shouldn't be there in that situation, and we need to heed the warning, make the change, and move on. More than once, directly and indirectly, you've mentioned the people, the places, and the things, and we hammer that home here on Faith in Your Recovery. And I think that is the key element to recovery. We've got to make those changes, and they've got to be real and from within our heart, within our spirit. Let them be Christ-led. Let God show you that change. And it doesn't mean we quit loving that person. It means we've got to step away from them. And that's a big part of that, I think. More coping skills.
Personally, to cope, like I said, I write and I make art, but I try to go out of my way to like help people out, or I've started working out again to the best of my ability, like with my medical stuff that I have going on and everything. But I surround myself with better people, and in and of itself, that is a coping mechanism, because before I would have, quote unquote, coped by going and hanging out with the wrong people.
And that would have meant a bottle or a pill, yeah?
Yep.
At least some type of drug taken some way. Yeah. Here's kind of a personal question, okay? What would you say to parents who are raising you as their child with your situation? What advice would you give that mom and dad as far as dealing with their son or daughter who's in a place where you've been?
Honestly, like the best thing they can do is try to listen, like, and support their kids, like even if they don't understand.
What's support mean in this situation, Kourtney?
Either get them some form of help, like therapy or rehab, or just talk to them. Be there for them, no matter what that looks like depending on the kid and the parent relationship, obviously. But like I know that if my mom would have just listened, or if she would have believed me about a lot of things, I don't think that I would have went through a lot of the stuff I went through in my teenage years and everything.
That listening, that's another one of those keys. And it's the most important thing we can do as parents or friends or siblings, anything else, is to truly listen and try to hear what's being said.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What is it that makes you think you can stay on the recovery trail? What makes you think you can remain sober, you can keep your hands off the pills or the drugs, however they might come?
Really, it's just the life that I want, like for myself, is the thing keeping me away from all of that.
So when you were here before, back in October of 22, your comment was basically, you don't care about life.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't care if you lived or died, and I'm not so sure you didn't even say that as a direct quote.
Yeah.
If not, you got very close. And now here you are, you just answered with, it's the life I want.
Yeah. And I never even thought that I'd live this long, especially with all the substances and everything. Like I didn't think I'd make it this far, and I'm turning 23 in 27 days. And I've realized that I do have goals and that I do want to live and that I can enjoy my life and like experience all the things that I didn't get to have like in my childhood.
I get almost excited hearing that because there was a time where you didn't care if tomorrow came.
Yeah.
And now you're planning how to make tomorrow a better day than today.
Yeah. And I don't want to end up maybe getting married one day and having kids and then my issues and my substance abuse problems become something that my kids have to tackle. Or my husband or wife or whoever.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. What are your thoughts about your recovery at this moment?
At this moment, I feel good about it. As I said in my poem, I was kind of beating myself up about it a little bit for my dealer still even having my number or access to like contact me. But I told him no, and that's like the main point is that even if you want it or you crave it or you think that it'll help you in that moment, you know it won't. And you can say no. You have the power to say no. Like, I know, like, the whole DARE thing was, like, just say no to drugs. But, like, really, it's that easy sometimes. Like, because it's all about you and your, like, self-improvement and your ability to tell people, like, no, I don't need that. Like, no, I don't want that. No, I don't have the money for this. Like, even, no, I don't need that high anymore. It's a crutch.
How do you feel people see you now versus 3 years ago or just 2 even?
Honestly, I think that people have seen me grow a lot. They've seen me come out of quite a few situations and they've seen me bounce back from every one of them no matter what happened. And yeah, maybe it takes a little longer sometimes, but I've always bounced back and I've never stopped supporting my people and they've never stopped supporting me.
You know what? As I listen to you, I think of the Apostle Peter in Scripture. If anybody ever stumbled, he walked on his knees more than his feet, I think, because he was down, all right? But as you keep saying, he got up one more time, then he fell. And he continued to do that. He had the support of those around him that saw him through those times. And I think we all fall short sometimes of being the encouragers we should be. That we need to be looking at your potential instead of your problems. We see you one way, you see yourself another. Yours is going to be far more accurate if you're honest. And we need to give you that space for change, not beat you down. Or when I say you, I mean that generically, anybody that's fighting a similar struggle to what you fought, and to be able to rise above that. And it can be done. I always close each episode, and we're not ready to close, but I always close it with stay in the battle. And it hit me on the way over here today. I need to add the words, you can do this, because you're living proof. It can be done. And I'm sure there was more than once that there were those who doubted if you'd live until tomorrow. They weren't worried about your future. They were worried about getting you through that day.
Absolutely. Like even Michael Bayers asked me, I don't know how many times, like how I'm still alive. And my answer every time is, I don't know.
God must have a big plan for you to pull you out of the big hole he pulled you out of, okay? And I'm sure He'll give you the tools and the equipment to get that accomplished if you stay in the battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to come easy, not going to come quick, but as long as you're making that effort and striving to go forward, there'll be other stumbles and falls. I hope it's not what we refer to as relapse, but psychologically, those kind of things even, where you don't see yourself you were disappointed that your dealer still had your number, etc. I'm sure there's going to be other disappointments like that. But the question is, what is your answer going to be? And if you continue to give that no when knows what you need to say, or yes when you need to say yes, you've got a fighting chance at this. And obviously, folks, I know you can, you can see Kourtney. She's, well, let's just put it this way, not a large-framed lady, all right? I say that with all respect. And what I mean by that is simply it's in the heart. It's not in the biceps or anywhere else. It's in the heart and the brain, and as long as you're applying those. Do you love Kourtney now? Are you able to feel like you love yourself and that you deserve to be loved by others?
Maybe not all the time, but definitely a lot more often than I did the last time I was here.
That's growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's growth. I'm not sure all of us do all the time because we feel guilty about this thought or that thought, and I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but I think that's where we're at with most of us. And we make the wrong decisions sometimes. Sometimes we don't know until hindsight. There are other times that we do. So if you could go back to one of your friends, I'm going to guess that over this time you've lost a friend or two to overdose, as well as just relational issues like the one you mentioned a little bit ago. If you could go back to your friends, what would you say to them? You don't have to use a name. Don't want you to do that. But what would you say?
I would probably ask them something. I'd probably ask them if they really thought that it was worth it to pick up stuff for the last time. If it was worth it to get that one last high with people that probably don't even know your last name. Because in the end, like, I had a friend whose funeral I went to last year. I actually went to, I think, at least 3 overdose funerals last year. All friends. People I was pretty close with. And
it could have just as easily been you, yes?
Yeah, it could have been me. And I think that kind of like really woke me up for a while. Because it could have been me, because I know that most of the people that I did drugs with didn't even know my last name. They didn't even remember my first name most of the time. They were just like, hey, you want to snort this line? And I kind of had to take a step back and be like, are these people even my friends? Like, or did they just want somebody to get high with?
You were convenient.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There was no meaning to the relationship or even the activity you guys were about at that time. It was just, here's a drug, let's do it together. Here's a drink, let's drink it together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's just grab an 18-year-old off the street who we know's having a struggle. What's the first thing you'd say?
I'd ask them if they thought it helped. And I'd wait for their answer. And then tell them why they're wrong.
because we're all going to say it helps because it got them through the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
It numbed it for a while. It covered it over.
But it doesn't numb it forever unless it kills you.
And the truth's going to come out one way or the other. And when I say the truth, it can be that can be a physical answer, certainly a verbal answer, a spiritual answer. In the end, truth wins. And we're going to find out. And we've got to face it. You know, they talk about looking at the man in the mirror, in your case, looking at the gal in the mirror. And do I like that person? Is that who I want to be? Yeah. Give a couple, 3 bullet points to the question you can change your life by.
You can change your life by admitting that maybe you do have a problem or that you do need help. You can change your life by accepting help and support. You can change your life by changing your people, places, and things, and the way you deal with your triggers.
Good answers. And those are worthy of writing down. Okay, play this back and get those on there. We've hit them over and over, but we can't say it enough. Through our 150 plus episodes, our goal has been to touch, change, and save lives. We say that when we say save lives, we mean physically, we mean spiritually. We know God does it. We know I don't have the skills to save a life other than hopefully giving you something to think on. I'd try in the moment with CPR, whatever, but you can do that now before it even gets to that point. So, yeah. So, as we get ready to wrap things up here, what is it that you want our listeners to know? Whether it's somebody with an issue, somebody who's got a friend or a child with an issue, or they're not getting along with their parents, whatever the case may be, what would you like our folks to hear?
People always say that you're not alone, and that's true, but I don't think anybody really believes it because most people don't have somebody to tell them that they're not alone. And I promise you that no matter what you're going through, whether you're a parent dealing with addiction, whether you're a parent dealing with a child that's in addiction, or whether, whoever, you aren't alone. And there's always somebody out there who will understand what you're going through. And I think that's why I talk about what I've been through and why I wanted to come back here today, because I wanted people to know that just be honest with yourself, and if you need help or you need somebody to talk to, or if you're struggling with something, please say something to someone. It doesn't matter who it is.
I think that leads us back to my final question, the recovery group. How important is a recovery group? And of course, it could be a Better Life, Brandon's Hope, but it could be any number of groups. How important are they and why?
They're very important, at least to me. I understand that groups like that aren't for everybody, and that's okay, because there's some people that don't use things like that to get sober, or have support like that to get sober, and they still do it, but that's few and far between. And honestly, I don't know where I'd be without my bonus family. I probably definitely wouldn't be alive today without my bonus family. And I don't know, I would push people to go to a meeting, even if they think it's a joke like I did the first time I went. I didn't think I had a problem. I didn't think I needed help or that those people would really care. But they did.
And see, it goes back to what you were saying. We feel like we're alone, but there's somebody who cares. There's a meeting full of basically everybody who cares. That therefore they are there for you. They're there to be with you. They'd much rather talk to you there than talk about you at your funeral. And that's what it takes, that old adage of it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to help somebody into and through recovery.
Yeah, and I found my village.
That's a powerful thing, and we're glad we can offer that, and glad you have claimed it. Thank you. When we were here a couple of years ago, didn't expect this opportunity and privilege again, but it has, and I like what I see in the sense of those changes. You're an encouragement, I'm sure, to Michael, to others there in your group, just as anybody who's on that recovery path is. So thank you for the work you're doing for yourself, for the work you're doing to be there with and for others. And is there anything else you want to close with before I have a closing word?
I don't think so. Just thank you and thank everybody that's ever supported me and helped me and let me be the reason that I'm here today.
Amen. Amen. We're thankful for that as well. Well, folks, that kind of wraps up this episode of Faith in Your Recovery. And as always, we'd like to remind you to stay in the battle and know that you can do this too. We're not telling you to become a Kourtney. We're just telling you there are Kourtneys out there who have been there at the darkest moment and didn't care about today or tomorrow, who now are making plans for the future and living it. So thanks for tuning in. We look forward to sharing with you again. God bless. Stay in the battle.